No, normally there comes a message.
Yeah, now
It came.
great. We're on air. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Everyone, welcome to the largest, fastest growing, and the most active large scale Scrum meetup, also aka product centricity, business agility, organizational design, and system thinking place. My name is Gene. I'm the organizer. I apologize. This is the time when I'm caught in transit, but it shouldn't prevent us from running the efficient event. Today, we have a special guest. This is one of the well-known certified LESS trainers and coaches from Europe, Wolfgang Steffens. He's my good friend and colleague. I will go by memory and share some of his highlights. He's a very well-known and well-respected coach and trainer who understands large-scale Scrum, Kanban, system thinking, system modeling, even to the extent that he is dangerous enough to know and to speak about and to explain intricacies of SAFe. Wolfie, he goes by Wolfie, is very versatile and eloquent when it comes to system modeling and system thinking. And today's discussion will be around system thinking, and he will also bring a strong AI aspect to it. So, Wolfie, without any further ado, I would like to pass the baton over to you. I know you can do a great job handling the sharing everything else. So, folks, please keep your cameras on if you can, and keep your mics off. And at the end, Wolfie will open up the floor for questions and comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Gene. So let me share now my screen here. All right. So I want to talk to you a little bit. Oops, where's the window gone? It's here. Okay, let's take it back. I want to talk to you a little bit about systems modeling, and I created some kind of custom GPT and agent which might help you actually in getting there. So let's start with this, that very short introduction into systems modeling and the syntax we are using. So let's say that hope you can see this here. I can zoom in a bit. So let's say we have it's a hot summer day, as we just heard. You have also hot days there, and I'm thirsty. So what do typical Germans at least do when they are thirsty? Yeah, they go for a beer. Yeah? This means we can draw a model here where we say, well, the more I'm thirsty, the more I want some beer. Yeah. Now, for those of you who are traveling a lot, you know that when you actually go to a bar, maybe you have seen this, then typically they offer you some salty snacks. Yeah? At least this happened to me quite a lot, and therefore, of course, for free. Yeah? So what is the idea? Well, of course, the idea is that the more beer you have, then you lose control over your mind, and you actually start grabbing for these salty snacks. Yeah? So this means that the idea is that when you had some beer, you eat the salty snacks. Well, and basically, why do they offer you salty snacks? Of course, they don't do this because they are just nice people in the bar, in the hotel bar. No, because they want you to drink more beer. This means that we actually have a circular connection going from salty snacks to more beer. And what we have here now is a so-called reinforcing loop. Yeah? So I can mark this with a little r. Then on the other hand, let's hope that when you had maybe a beer or two, your thirst is gone and you don't need to drink more. So this means that we can draw a model here that we say, well, connection, the more beer you have, the less thirst you will have. So we can do this in this syntax here with making an O into this connection, as you can see. Maybe I make it bigger. So I hope you can see this now. And this kind of loop where we have an uneven number of O's we call typically a balancing loop. So a balancing loop. We can mark it with, for example, a B in here. Yeah? So this is quite the essence explained of system modeling. And I show you here, so we have quite a whole more of connection types. So this one, what you got to know now is the straight connection. It means that the more A will lead to more B, or other way around, less A will lead to less B. And then what you got to know here also is an opposite connection, which means that more A will lead to less B, or other way around, less A will lead to more B. Yeah? So these are the kind of things you know. And then also in the agent, we use a few more, like a quick fix. So let's say you have a problem and you need to do a quick fix. Yeah, you cut yourself. You need to be putting some band-aid on top. It's a quick fix. Yeah, or you have constraint. So for example, well, if you think of this model here, you could, for example, argue that you have to pay for the beer. So there's a constraint. You only have so much money available to buy beer. So there's a limit to this. And then you have a few other things like maybe which is quite popular is a delayed effect. So that's very interesting in systems thinking also. So when these things happen delayed. And so this is the syntax basically here, what we are going to use. Before we continue, maybe a quick idea. So I shared the link in Miro, and maybe I can share it again here. I don't know if you see the old messages. Let me move over there. So if you want, you can sign up, put your email here on this board, and if you feel like that you want to get newsletter from me, or then I will share this later on with Gene also. So if you are not yet this. Okay, people want to have the Miro links, so let me copy this again. Copy, and here is the link to the Miro board in the chat now, and also link to Sisko. So just in case you have to leave earlier or something bad happens, so you can always connect to me via LinkedIn, and you can then ask also later on questions if you have questions about system thinking. So let's now get started with this. So basically, I created this ChatGPT, this custom GPT, and it's called Sisko, the system thinker. And the idea is that now we can ask questions. So whatever you have, like you have a problem or you have something you want to know and you want to have a kind of systemic view to this, then basically we can ask this, and it should help you. Why did I create this? When I saw in practice that I do a lot of modeling, and the problem has been that when you do models, people have trouble to find variables. So this, what we call here, these variables. And basically, to get started or to maybe check something on this. And I have been thinking that this would be helpful. So if you want to start systems modeling and basically you are stuck somewhere, you might get some nice idea. So there is some information behind. There is some less stuff behind, something about org design, and a few other things are fed into the system. And so that's why I think it's good if you think about product development or anything like this. So, and maybe if you have a question or a problem in your organization, maybe you can be so kind and write this into the chat. And let's see what actually happens when we do this. Yeah. Okay, Fredrik already mentioned something. Okay, help me think. All right, using the, do like even try. Okay, some other suggestion. All right, good. But do you have, is anybody a problem or a question? For example, I could start with something like um, in my organization, uh, the CEO, CEO is also the product owner. No? Um, what let's say what could I do? Or let's say there are uh, there are some problems with this uh, about authority and collaboration between PO and team. So we could ask something like this, for example, please provide me ideas to improve the situation. Okay, and the idea is that okay, management is focusing on capacity utilization of available which causes to okay. Okay, we can have a look at this next, Michael. All right, so and then basically the idea here is that you start a dialogue with this agent, and you get an idea of variables. And now what it's doing is that it's using the syntax I just described, and without now going into details, because that would, I think, maybe, I'm not sure if we have the time for this, but basically we could then look at this, okay, does this fit your worldview? Or is it so that you have different ideas? Do you want to add something or so? Yeah. So it would be, of course, good if we could have an example from you guys. I think it might make more sense because this here is pretty much invented. Yeah. But what you get out of this is this kind. So basically, you can see the connections, and let me see if it already did some loops about that. Measures where empowerment is real. So okay, no, it did only partially this, and now I could, of course, if you basically agree with this, can you create a systems model? So the important part is now that don't use it to replace your thinking. Yeah. So use it as somebody who is challenging your thinking, as a sparrings partner, basically. Yeah. And this would be this output, for example. Yeah? Now let's see. The challenge I have had is that when I draw pictures or so. So somehow I don't know if you have had same problem with sometimes your AI, but the drawing the out of this drawing a diagram has been a little bit difficult still for some strange reason. Yeah. So what you now get is you get here this kind of connections, and now basically what I have been doing a lot of my own is then I say, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, and I draw the systems model somewhere else, like on a paper, or I just copy paste this and put it into Miro and use it basically there. Because this, as I said, this picture creation has been a little bit of a trouble sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So, but I would like to use something of your a problem of yours, maybe not as big, but something smaller, I'm sure. So not like world peace, and then see how it goes. Yeah, because this whole thing is still pretty new, and I'm still also experimenting this, how to actually improve it. So that's why you are all there. But of course, if you want to use it on your own, on the Miro board, you see the link to it. So feel free to open it in your own window, and basically you can do this there also then. Yeah? So, and if you don't dare to share your problem with everybody here. Yeah? We could draw another question, maybe a more simpler one, which is like this. In our large organization. Okay. Bastian has an idea. Okay. Yeah, let's use this one. So I will copy that. And then what do you want to get out of it? So that is the statement. So help me understand what causes that. Maybe like this. And let's see what it does. And as you see also here, I'm now actually in the standard level. So I think that is for most of the time very good. So let's see. What does it say? I could actually copy paste this into the chat. Wow, it talks a lot. Okay. So for those who want to read the response, I think it's too big for the chat. I put it on the Miro board because I think the chat is limited to so and so many. Okay, even that is too big. Well, let's see what starts there. So let's have a look at this. What looks like is not often it's usually decision system problem. Might see this clearly, but still like one of the authority to act. No? Clarity to on priorities, direct access to customer, evidence, capacity change direction, confidence leadership with support decision, technical responsibility. Okay. So now basically you would need to say in your case, okay, are this really true, or do they actually have direct access to customer or something like this? Yeah. Oh no, because will remain centralized while information is distributed. Agile organizations respond faster and it's moved to the teams. Okay. Assumptions. I'm assuming. Decision teams carry systems. Okay. So now frequency. So the more we have frequency, the more uncertainty. The more uncertainty, the more need for product decisions. The more need for product decisions, the more is decision request volume. Okay. So, for example, in this case, Bastian, you could comment and redirect if it's really like, if you agree with this, if you have a completely different understanding of this. Product owner workload, yes, decision waiting time, market response time, yeah. No, I could argue that who actually makes decision here is completely unclear in this answer. So is the product owner making decision or not? Why do we need to have the CEO? No, so this could be now. Of course, I think one of the challenge is that I think it's linking this to the previous question, yeah, where I had the question about the CEO and the product owner are the same person. So I think it's thinking this still there. So that obviously seems to be the case. Both dependencies. Yeah. So you might want to actually limit this to a number of variables. Yeah. There's a question. The tool sounds to be hypothesis-based versus fact-based. Does the AI provide only a checklist? Pierre, I don't fully understand your question. What do you mean by that? Maybe if you can also unmute yourself. I'm okay with that, if you prefer. We are such a small group here.
I prefer, let's say, from that level, very limited information. Your tool is providing a lot of hypotheses, which are not
Yes.
factual. So from a system thinking perspective, usually it's a fact-based approach. So my question is to you, it's a hypothesis-driven approach to provide a checklist to check.
Let me think for a moment. Well,
Ich kann es auch auf Deutsch.
no, that's not the problem. I'm just thinking about this that well, it does look into the summary of the less books. It does look at the less, for example, website. It does look at org design and at other inputs. So from Galbraith and from Cesario, Ramos, and so on. So that using those to find ideas and to provide ideas on what could go wrong. But that's
Okay,
why I would limit it actually and focus on only maybe 7 to 10 variables. So I would start with that because now I think one might be overwhelmed with the amount of options you have.
all right, it's a checklist. So in fact, but this, let's say, if I'm a practitioner and I'm keen to use that tool, so that tool actually is providing a checklist based on what is written in the less documents, right?
It's more than a checklist. So because basically it's so I said now focus on 7 to 8 key variables, and so basically it draws you here a systems diagram. Just that like I said, you have to we would need to do this now in the Miro, for example, or on some other board. And then we could do, for example, here and just copy paste this, and then we could create the model. And then you
Right.
would see actually where are your points there. No? So this
So in
means
fact,
that
if I'm an internal employee or a consultant, and the company who hires me or which I'm working for is asking me to make an analysis, a systems analysis,
yeah.
I will burn with this actually. They say, okay, I will check this out.
What do you mean you will burn with that?
Or let's say is okay, I will make an assessment. I have to do an assessment of the system to say,
Yes.
okay, where are we now? So, and I say, I will use all these KPIs, these metrics. Very well. Then I say, how do you do? Is the tool helping you to do it? Maybe I'm going too far. I'm sorry.
No, you are not. So actually, I have been using this in a way that I describe what I have observed and some of the dynamics, yeah. And then I have asked it to create a systemic analysis of the situation, and then it had some suggestions. Some were, let's say, pretty straightforward, so this was nothing new. And some others actually were surprising me, like where it said, well, because of, for example, human psychology, maybe you want to look into this, and maybe you want to look into that.
Yeah.
So I think that is what I mean. So don't use it. It's not a tool to replace your work, so that you do this and then you just expect an answer and you can just forward the answer. I mean, but use it as a kind of an idea generator for you to actually try to understand what else is going on in your organization, and especially to see the connections, how they do this. So do I have actually an example here? I need to check this here. Does this help you now, or?
No, but I don't want to go to move forward because I create also a couple of assessments that go a little bit differently. I don't want to spoil here.
Okay.
So I will let you. I'm just asking the questions that we will face in front of our customers or maybe our partners. So if I come to provide something, I need to have potential data. So maybe having something, if I give you feedback, maybe check out a scale between 0 and 5. If you're on 5, it's great. If 0, it's attention, something like this. Because this is quite, I believe, a bit too generic for me. Maybe it's only me thinking like this.
Okay.
So I need to shut up because also I will start to sell my own stuff, and this is not what I want to do. I try to be nice.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, but maybe coming back to Bastian's thing. So now we can ask it to draw a systems diagram. Please draw systems. Let's see if this works. Like I said, it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you know that, or we all should know that, yeah, it's doing it just like this, but it doesn't draw it as a picture still. But then basically you would still need to do this, because the interesting part is that if you read it as a text like this, most likely you will not get the aha moments. But if you actually start to create a model like so that you see the connections, it actually becomes quite cool. So I'll just give you an example how you could theoretically end up, and this is for example, I just finished the course today, and this is what we did. Yeah. So this is the kind of model what we did there, and then basically you see that how things are connected to each other. So this is then potentially what you could end up with. But like I said, so the idea would be that you do this in smaller pieces, and then you actually get this kind of variables here, which you maybe were not thinking of before. Yeah. And then you can connect this and draw this kind of picture out of this. So let's see if this makes any sense. Market signal clarity, team decision confidence, strategic clarity, team decision confidence, team decision authority, team decision okay. The less, the more team decision, the less waiting time, the more market response capacity, okay. It's also, as you see here, a good idea that to ask always that it should explain the variables it finds. Because now the question is that what does the AI mean by these variables? Yeah? You might interpret it like this or like that. So it's a bit open, basically, this. No? So you don't want it like this. So we should actually start. Please explain. Oops, explain the meaning. So, for example, what is meant by this one variable? No? And then it gives you this list, because that has been so. If you do this with variables you don't really understand, that's of course not a good idea. So that's why it's always good to look at this. So what was it? It was team decision confidence and response capacity. That was kind of strange what it says there. here is response capacity, the amount of team capacity available to investigate and respond to new market information without abandoning critical commitments. Possible measures, personal, interesting, okay. Yes. All right. So if you are happy with this, then of course you would go on. If you're not happy with this, then basically you would redirect this and do something else. All right. Then maybe I start here again. Okay. Maybe I use this other one what I had because this is quite often the case. We have a lot of dependencies between teams working on one product. Please identify up to 10 key variables and explain each of the variables. Okay, we could ask there that let's see what it does here. So this looks maybe a bit more easier, at least, to understand. So you want to understand why you have dependencies between teams. Then it starts, okay, maybe you have two specialized team. You need cross-functional capabilities, dependency count, okay, handoff count, all right, architecture coupling. So it suggests this kind of variable, and then basically in the end, let's see if it has been drawing this picture here. Okay, also quite a lot. And what does it say here is, okay, the more shared product knowledge in the end, the more cross-functional capability, and the more you have this, the less you have dependency count, and the less you have dependency count, the less coordinating wait time, and the less you have this, the smaller is your end-to-end delivery time. Yeah. So basically, sometimes depending on now the problem what you have, it has been identifying like reinforcing loops, it has been identifying balancing loops and structuring like this. So it also depends, of course, how you're actually asking the questions. You know? So do you want to identify those loops or just leave it open like I did now? Yeah. Okay. And then it gives potentially here useful hints because I asked now to, so like, okay, moving to what feature teams, whatever this means, yeah, I guess that they are more cross-functional. It means it by this one here because it should use the less terminology. Use one product backlog, you know? So this kind of things. And maybe this helps you to understand better where your problems lie and what you can do. You know? But this was not this session here was not for me a course to introduce system thinking. That is separate session. So I have had some meetups for this, very short. or then I also have there this kind of full day courses where we actually dive much deeper into this. So you can find some more information here. And otherwise, I encourage you to use it. I mean, it's for free; it doesn't cost you anything. So just use it and see how well it will help you in finding a systemic causes for your problems what you have, because that's, I think, the issue that very often in companies that we don't look at the systemic also the root causes basically from a system point of view. Yeah. So it might help you there with new ideas. All right. Do you have any questions? Look in the chat, there's no questions there.
I have a comment, not a question.
Okay.
Or maybe a recommendation. I'm a system thinker since 20 years and an org designer. And I believe, which is for me, my perspective, maybe I'm wrong, it's confusing that the assumption that the method is helping. Instead of analyzing the system, the tools that maybe you can use in your tool, so what I use is BPMN. So I have the value streams, the decision matrix, and the people engaged. Addressing the sociograms, which is what you try to have in your systems picture, who is interacting with whom. Maybe using viable systems model to see how much effort is in what area of decision making. And then you can use the methodology less as example to say, and here we can use less to solve that point. This is how I see it.
Okay.
Because I always put my feet in the customers, somebody who has no clue at all about the methodology or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm officially Agile coach, so I'm a prostitute. I'm okay with everyone. But the fact is, to make it concrete, because you're touching a point which is very true, you're using a clever approach. I will really want you to get something very interesting done. Even if it's a competition with my tool, I believe in competition, which is good. And the way is, if you do this way, can be very, very confusing. Because usually what happens in organization design, people in change, they have an initial state and they want to have a target state, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in that kind of the lean-ish approach, so what is my target state? So that's why if you have polarities from 0 to 1, so you see, so our actual status base analyzed through the AI, based on all the facts you already have, this is where you're sitting now. And this is where maybe the first points of action you have to take.
Mm.
And then I have to shut up again because I'm a talker.
Okay. Yeah, good hints. Thank you. Michael, did you also have a comment or question?
Yeah, I honestly, because I was some time ago, like a half a year ago, I was using ChatGPT for generating the causal loop diagrams. My approach was a little bit different, because I just flooded the ChatGPT with the full description of the case,
Yeah.
with how it started, how it was going,
Yeah.
how it ended. So it had like a half a page of description, and honestly, in that at that particular time, the ChatGPT was able to get those real life variables out of the case. And I'm just like wondering, the difference between the usual approach with which is totally 100% case based, and the one approach which you use, because if I understood correctly, you have populated your GPT with the data from less and all the frameworks and methods, and he's just referring to those data or those sources to build to find the explanation via causal loop diagram and create the diagrams using the metadata from the frameworks, right? Or is it looking broader?
It goes a little bit broader. It's not just less, but it's also several others. So in general, I think so it's a kind of it depends case how you're going to use it. So like I said, I have had models which I have created. And then I was just saying, please check this model for anything I haven't observed yet or anything I should watch out for. And yeah, so stuff like this. So asking it to check and verify something I already created. And then basically it was able to come up with some great ideas, like, okay, look also in this aspect or look it from this angle. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like wondering, the approach, what kind of approach you use. So that's
But
my
but
curiosity.
when I so because for example when we do this less classes, so we do a lot of systems modeling in there.
Yeah.
And the challenge has been then for people when I ask them later, so how much did you do in your organization? And actually it was very little. And the feedback was constantly that it's too complicated to start. We don't know how to start.
Yes.
So and that's why I said, hey, let's write this kind of Kickstarter here so that you can mention your problem and you get maybe a handful of variables and that you get started. And then actually, I think once people get started with this and have the first 3, 5 variables, then they don't look at this anymore and don't look at the rest. So then they are getting into the mood and getting started with this whole thing. So this is the experience I also made by using that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right. But like I mentioned earlier, so this is free for use. So just it's just let's say some giveaway to the community whoever wants to use this. Yeah. Rest of the people are pretty much not moving. So any other comments, questions, suggestions? Has anybody been using it now as we were talking on their own? No. Oh, Gene is alive back home. You are muted, Gene. Okay, I'm not sure if Gene is talking to us here.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I'm back where I'm supposed to be, and for a while now, just watching. This is great. Thank you, Wolfie. Folks, anyone has any specific questions? Wolfie, these GPTs, the custom ones, I know they're free to use and they're available, right? You can just
Yes.
share the URL.
Yes. So just use the URL which is there or scan the QR code. So this goes then via Bitly, but never mind about this. It all goes to the same thing in the end.
Folks, I can attest that teaching your GPT becoming clever than just the one that's out of the box could be a huge time saver. I've done a few things myself, different
Yeah,
from,
I mean,
and it's very good. So
Mhm.
please use Wolf's suggestions and also leverage his link.
I mean, why do we have still all this problem? I mean, has now been on the market for, I would say, roughly 20 years. Yeah. So why hasn't the world become a much better place and much less suffering in the organizations? I think because some of the systemic things which are there are not addressed and not found out.
True, very true.
So I think there is upside potential to really figure stuff out why things go wrong. So maybe this helps. Yeah.
Yep. Well, so folks, anyone else wants to ask anything of Wolf's work? Anything you wanted to bubble up?
I'm out. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Wolfie, sounds like you have exhausted everyone's attention, and you gave a plenty. So, folks, I want to thank you all for joining and participating. Well, we're recording this, so if you want to replay and rethink what Wolfie shared today, you will have a chance to do so. And also, if you have a deck or something of any materials you want to shoot over to me, we can have it along with the recordings and the link. Would be nice.
Yes, and I encourage you just to open it up and figure it out and test it out and see how it goes. It is also a skill actually I learned when I was starting cloud code programming. It's also a skill to actually prompt the system, so it doesn't happen overnight either.
Well, great. So if we don't have any other questions or comments, I would like to give everyone back their extra, the remaining 10 minutes so you can get to your next meeting or to your family dinner, depending where you are. And
it's the weekend.
Wochenende. Yeah, Wochenende.
It depends. What?
Weekend in German. Wochenende.
Wochenende, yeah.
Weekend
Yeah,
is apero time and going swimming.
Make sure you have a few beers on my account because I got another 6 hours to go, 5 hours.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, thank you all for joining. Wolfie, you're going to shoot over me your assets whenever you get a chance, right?
Yeah, all right. I will do that, yes.
Shoot them over to me.
All right. Thank you.
Pierre, Frederick, Bastian, Mikhail, and everyone else, Jay, please enjoy the rest of the day and, go into the holiday, into the weekend. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Gene.
Everyone.
Danke vielmals, Wolfgang.
Danke.